The Leather Dreamer, the story of Louis Vuitton, the trunk of dreams. The year was 1835, and the small village of Inchy in eastern France was quiet, far from the noise of big cities. A young boy named Louis Vuitton sat on a wooden fence, staring at the dusty road where a fancy carriage had passed earlier. Its polished wheels gleamed in the sunlight, and the leather trunk strapped to its back looked sturdy and elegant. Louis had never owned anything so fine. His family was poor, and most people in his village never traveled far. But in that moment, as he watched the carriage disappear into the distance, he felt a spark in his heart. What if travel wasn't just for the rich? He wondered. What if every journey, whether by foot, horse, or train, could feel special? He imagined trunks that weren't just boxes but works of art, strong, beautiful, and made to last. He dreamed of a world where adventure wasn't just for kings and queens but for anyone with a dream in their heart. Little did he know that one day his name would be stitched onto the finest luggage in the world. But for now, he was just a boy with a simple wish to make travel magical. And so, his journey began. Part 1. The Apprentice's Journey. Footsteps to Paris. Louis Vuitton was only 14 years old when he made the biggest decision of his life. He lived in a tiny village called Inchy, where most people never left. But Louis dreamed of more. He wanted to see Paris, the city of lights, fashion, and opportunity. One morning, with nothing but a small bag of bread and a heart full of hope, he set off on foot. The journey was long, 292 miles. He walked for days, sleeping in barns and under trees, sometimes trading work for food. His feet ached, and the road was lonely, but he never gave up. Finally, after weeks of walking, he saw the grand city of Paris, with its towering buildings and bustling streets. Louis smiled. This was where his new life would begin. The boxmaker's apprentice. Paris was overwhelming, but Louis was determined. He needed work, and luckily, he found a kind man named Monsieur Marechal, a master boxmaker. Monsieur Marechal took Louis in as his apprentice. At first, Louis did small tasks, sweeping floors, fetching tools, but he watched carefully as the craftsman shaped wood, polished leather, and built sturdy trunks. Slowly, he learned the secrets of the trade. How to measure perfectly, how to make seams strong, and how to create boxes that lasted a lifetime. Louis worked hard, often staying late to practice. He loved the smell of wood and the satisfaction of making something with his hands. One day, Monsieur Marechal smiled and said, "You have talent, boy. Keep learning, and you'll go far." The Empress's request. Years passed, and Louis became a skilled craftsman. His reputation grew. His trunks were not just strong, but elegant. Then, one exciting day, a royal messenger arrived with an order. Empress Eugénie de Montijo, wife of Napoleon III, needed someone to pack her clothes for her travels. She had heard about Louis's talent and wanted him to make her luggage. Louis was nervous but honored. He carefully designed lightweight yet sturdy trunks, lined with fine fabrics to protect her gowns. When the Empress saw his work, she was delighted. "These are the finest trunks I've ever seen," she said. Soon, all of Paris's high society wanted Louis Vuitton trunks. His name became famous, but this was only the beginning of his story. Part 2. Building an Empire. The birth of a legend. 1854. After years of hard work, Louis Vuitton was ready for his biggest step yet, opening his own shop. In 1854, he set up his first store at Rue des Capucines in Paris. At that time, most travel trunks had rounded tops so water would run off them, but Louis had a better idea. He designed flat-top trunks that could be stacked easily on trains and ships. This made traveling much more convenient for wealthy customers. The shop quickly became popular. Wealthy travelers, explorers, and even kings and queens came to buy Louis Vuitton's trunks. They loved how strong and stylish they were. Louis had turned his dream into reality. He was no longer just a craftsman, he was a legend. The Daimler Revolution. As Louis's business grew, so did a big problem: copycats. Other companies started making cheap imitations of his trunks and selling them as real Louis Vuitton. Louis knew he had to do something. In 1888, his son Georges Vuitton helped create a special new design, the Daimler canvas, a checkerboard pattern with the words Marque L. Vuitton déposé, meaning registered L. Vuitton trademark. This made it easy to spot fake trunks. The Daimler pattern became a symbol of luxury and authenticity. People could now trust that a real Louis Vuitton trunk was high quality and unique. The brand was no longer just about travel, it was about status and style, fire and resilience. Just when business was booming, disaster struck. In 1870, the Franco-Prussian War broke out, and Paris was in chaos. Then, a terrible fire destroyed Louis's workshop. Many would have given up, but Louis Vuitton was not one of them. With determination, he rebuilt his workshop, bigger and better than before. He knew his customers depended on him. This difficult time taught Louis an important lesson: true success isn't about never falling, it's about always getting back up. And that's exactly what he did. By the end of the 1870s, Louis Vuitton was stronger than ever, ready to take his brand to even greater heights. Part 3. The Legacy Unfolds. The son's ambition. When Louis Vuitton passed away in 1892, his son Georges Vuitton took over the family business. Georges was just as passionate as his father, but he had even bigger dreams. He wanted to protect the brand from copycats forever. So in 1896, he created something special, the famous LV monogram. This beautiful pattern had the letters L and V woven together, fancy flowers and stars, his father's name hidden in the design. The monogram became instantly famous. Rich travelers loved how it made their trunks look unique and luxurious. Georges also opened stores in London, New York, and beyond, making Louis Vuitton a global name. Louis would have been so proud. His little trunk-making shop was now a world-famous brand. The Great Exhibitions. At the turn of the century, the world was changing fast. New inventions like cars and airplanes made travel exciting. Louis Vuitton trunks became stars at world's fairs, huge exhibitions where countries showed off their best products. At the 1900 Paris World's Fair, LV presented a trunk that turned into a traveling bed. Special boxes just for holding hats and dresses. The strongest waterproof trunks ever made. People from all over the world gasped in amazement. These weren't just boxes, they were masterpieces of travel. Kings, explorers, and movie stars all wanted LV trunks for their adventures. The art of travel. The golden age of travel had arrived. Fancy trains like the Orient Express and huge ocean liners like the Titanic carried wealthy passengers across the world. And guess what they all carried? Louis Vuitton luggage. The brand made special trunks for car trunks that fit perfectly in new automobiles, airplane trunks for the first brave pilots, even wardrobe trunks with hangers and drawers. Wherever the rich and famous went, their LV trunks went too. The brand became a symbol of luxury, adventure, and good tasted. What started as one man's dream was now helping shape the very idea of modern travel. Part 4. The Modern Age. The Counterfeit Wars. As Louis Vuitton became more famous, fake copies flooded the market. Street vendors sold cheap bags with sloppy LV logos, tricking customers. Georges Vuitton's son, Gaston Louis, fought back hard. He hired lawyers worldwide to sue counterfeiters, created secret authentication marks only experts could spot, made the monogram patterns even more complex to copy. But the battle never ended. Even today, LV has a special team that tracks down fake factories, reports illegal online sellers, teaches customers how to spot fakes. This fight forced LV to keep innovating while staying true to its luxury roots. From trunks to trends. In the 1990s, LV made a bold move. They hired Marc Jacobs as creative director. The brand that once only made trunks suddenly became fashion royalty. Jacobs brought shocking new ideas. The first LV handbags like the Speedy, clothing and shoes with the Monogram. Wild collaborations with artists like Takashi Murakami. Purists gasped when graffiti-style bags appeared. But soon, Hollywood stars like Madonna carried LV everywhere. The brand was now young, cool, and everywhere from runways to rap songs. The future in stitches. Today, Louis Vuitton faces new challenges. Eco-friendly leathers, testing mushroom-based and recycled materials. Digital passports of chips in bags to prove they're real. Sustainable workshops, solar power and less waste. Yet they still hand-stitch some bags using techniques Louis himself would recognize. The brand balances old-world craftsmanship, space-age innovation. As travel changes, think space tourism. LV keeps adapting while never forgetting its humble beginnings in a French village. The end ... or just the beginning, ***. From a boy walking to Paris to a brand walking on the moon, with LV, anything's possible. The never-ending journey. In a quiet museum in Paris, sunlight falls on an old Louis Vuitton trunk. Its leather is worn, its brass corners slightly tarnished. A little girl presses her nose against the glass, curious. "This looks ordinary," she whispers to her father. He smiles. But this trunk holds magic." It began with a boy poor, with nothing but a dream. As the museum crowd moves past, the trunk seems to tell its silent story. Of blistered feet walking 292 miles to Paris. Of calloused hands learning to sew perfect stitches. Of bright ideas that changed travel forever. Nearby, a fashion student sketches the trunk's famous monogram. A businessman checks his LV briefcase. Through the window, a plane takes off, its cargo hold likely carrying LV luggage. The little girl skips away humming. She doesn't know it yet, but Louis' journey continues in every bag that carries dreams, every suitcase that embarks on adventures, and every person who dares to imagine something new. The trunk stays quiet in its glass case, but if you listen very closely, you might hear the whisper of a boy from Manche who believed ordinary things could become extraordinary.